You know how sometimes you feel like you're just stuck? You spend ages, maybe years, hitting the grammar books. You get the rules, you can spot a past participle, maybe even ace a written test, but then you try to actually speak, and poof, your mind goes blank. The words just aren't there. Or you hesitate, you feel stressed, maybe you just stay quiet. It's incredibly frustrating, isn't it? So the big question we're diving into today is, why? Why does this happen? And maybe more importantly, how do we make learning grammar feel, well, easier, more natural, less stressful, so it actually works when we need it?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling is so common. And that's exactly what we're aiming for in this deep dive, to kind of rethink grammar entirely. We want to explore how to get past just, memorizing rules and find a way that builds real confidence, the kind that flows naturally when you talk. We've looked at quite a few sources that really challenge the old ways of thinking. They suggest that those traditional methods, they often just leave learners feeling completely overwhelmed. And they point towards a much more powerful, sort of organic approach.
Organic, I like that. So moving away from grammar as this rigid list of do's and don'ts, because the idea that grammar is just a set of rules feels so static.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to help us communicate, right? Be dynamic. Our sources hint that it's more than just rules. It's like a skill, a living system.
Exactly. It's not just a list to memorize, it's a living system of patterns. And thinking of it as a skill is crucial. The usual definition of grammar is the system of a language, the rules for word order, how words change form, all that. That's true, of course. But what our sources really emphasize is something deeper.
Okay, so what's the aha moment here? If it's not just the rulebook definition, what else is going on?
The big insight is that grammar is also fundamentally about patterns. Think about it. When you just listen to English a lot, podcasts, conversations, maybe watching shows, your brain starts doing something amazing. It begins to notice what repeats. It's pattern recognition, almost subconscious.
Of conscious pattern recognition. Okay.
Yeah. And over time, hearing these patterns again and again, you develop this intuitive feel for what sounds right. Even if you couldn't name the specific grammar rule if someone asked you, it's like your internal language radar gets tuned. The more real language you hear, the clearer those patterns become. You build this internal sense of correctness that's, well, faster and more useful than consciously checking a rule.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like knowing a path because you've walked it, not just because you saw it on a map.
Yeah.
But if our brains are naturally wired for this pattern stuff, why did grammar still feel so hard? Why do so many people find it confusing, stressful, sometimes just, like, impossible? You hear that all the time.
It's a paradox, isn't it? And this is where those traditional methods often trip us up. Honestly, if you felt that grammar is impossibly hard, it's probably not your fault. The way it's usually taught, studying rules from books, taking loads of notes, memorizing verb tables, doing worksheet after worksheet, learning all the technical terms.
Right, the present perfect continuous, the third conditional, all that jargon.
Exactly. It's very information heavy. You're loading your brain with data about the language.
And the result? You end up with a head full of rules, but when you open your mouth, nothing comes out right.
All right.
Or you freeze, you hesitate, you doubt yourself, you feel unsure. It's like the studying actively hinders speaking sometimes. Why is that?
That hits the nail on the head. Language isn't just data. It's a skill. And you can't just memorize your way into a skill. Think about learning to drive a car. It's a classic analogy, but it works so well here.
Okay, yeah.
You can read the entire driving manual, watch hours of YouTube videos on how to parallel park, memorize every single road sign. You could even pass the written test with a perfect score. But does that mean you can actually drive?
No way. Not until you get behind the wheel.
Precisely. You have to sit in the car, feel the pedals, turn the wheel, practice merging into traffic. You have to do it. Grammar's the same. Your brain might know the rule intellectually, but your mouth, your ears, your whole body haven't practiced using it.
Ah, okay. So that hesitation, that, wait, is this right? Has or have, moment. That's the brain trying to access the information instead of executing the skill it hasn't fully built yet.
Exactly that. Your brain gets caught up in the analysis. Is this present perfect? What's the rule again? Has or have, third form verb. That internal checklist just completely stalls the conversation. It breaks the natural flow, makes speaking feel like an exam, and inevitably it chips away at your confidence.
It really does. So real learning needs more than just the brain processing information.
Yes, it needs everything working together. Your brain, your ears processing the sounds, your voice actually making the shapes, even your feelings about communicating. It's holistic, like learning music. You listen, you feel the rhythm, you practice until your fingers know where to go without thinking, you express something. Language needs that too. It takes time, practice, and importantly, patience. It's not just an intellectual puzzle.
Okay, holistic learning patience. That sounds very different from the usual rush to learn everything. So this points towards something a bit counterintuitive, maybe. Our sources seem to say you don't need to know all the rules. You don't have to be perfect. You don't even need to go fast.
That's the core message, really. Go slowly, step by step. Make grammar a journey, not a race you feel like you're losing.
Because trying to learn everything at once, that's a trap, isn't it?
It really is. We call it the endless mountain problem. You try to tackle present tense today, past perfect tomorrow, conditionals the day after. You feel like you're climbing this impossibly steep mountain that just keeps going up. It leads to burnout, feeling lost, feeling like you're failing. Your brain just can't effectively absorb and integrate skills that quickly.
So instead of the endless mountain, what's the alternative? You mentioned an analogy, like building a house.
Yeah, think about building a house. You can't do it all in one go. You start with a solid foundation, right? Prepare the ground. Then you lay the bricks, one by one, carefully. Then come the walls, the roof, and only then do you start decorating. Each stage needs time and attention. Try to rush it, slap it all together, the whole thing will be unstable. Grammar's like that. You need to build it carefully, piece by piece.
Okay, building brick by brick. So how does that translate into action? If we embrace slow learning, what do we actually do?
It leads to a really practical strategy. Choose one small grammar point, just one. Maybe it's using there is and there are correctly, or forming simple questions, or talking about the recent past using, say, the present perfect. Then you kind of live with that one point for a bit, and you do 3 key things.
All right, what's the first one?
First, you notice it. You actively listen and read, looking specifically for that grammar point in real English. You're like a detective. If you're focusing on simple questions, you tune your ears to, do you, are they? Was it? How are people actually using it?
So active listening, not just letting it wash over you. Got it. What's second?
Second, you practice it. Write a few short sentences using that grammar point. Sentences that are true for you. And crucially, say them out loud. Talk to yourself if you need to. Get your mouth used to forming those patterns. Make it part of your own voice.
Great. Notice it, practice it by speaking. And the third action?
Repeat it. The more you consciously notice and practice that one small point, the more automatic it becomes. Repetition builds neural pathways, makes it feel natural, reduces that need to overthink when you want to speak. And this is important. Don't panic about mistakes.
Yes, the fear of mistakes.
Mistakes are just part of it. Think of a toddler learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they get back up. It's how learning happens. The focus shouldn't be on speed or perfection, but on connection. Connecting the grammar to meaning, to real communication.
That slow, focused approach sounds much less stressful. What are the payoffs? Deeper understanding.
Definitely. Deeper understanding, yes, but also much more stress-free usage. Because you're not trying to juggle 50 rules in your head. It lowers the pressure, improves your memory for that specific point because you've spent quality time with it. You start to feel calmer, more in control. And the grammar starts to stick. You just use it. It feels less like you're performing calculations and more like you're just speaking English, like a real speaker, not just a student.
Feeling like a real speaker. That's a powerful outcome. This ties into another idea from our sources, doesn't it? This concept of natural learning. What does that actually mean? Learning grammar naturally, especially for us adults.
Natural learning is basically tapping into how we all learned our first language, or how humans naturally acquire complex skills through immersion, experience, and intuition, not just books. It means learning grammar by hearing it constantly, getting a feel for its rhythm, and using it in real, meaningful situations. Think about how babies do it. They don't get grammar lessons, do they?
No, definitely not. They just sort of absorb it.
Exactly. They listen, voices, songs, stories, simple phrases repeated over and over. Their amazing brains slowly start picking out the patterns. They try to mimic, they make tons of mistakes, they keep trying, keep repeating. Eventually they speak grammatically, not because they studied rules, but because they felt the structure, they understood what it does through sheer exposure and interaction.
Okay, the baby analogy is powerful, but we're adults. We can use books, we have analytical minds. How do we blend that with this natural process?
That's the key. We don't have to discard books or explanations entirely. Adults can use those tools strategically, but we can still lean heavily into the natural process by making sure the grammar we encounter is embedded in real language. Language that has context, meaning, feeling, life, not just isolated example sentences. So when you hear, "I've just finished my work," you're not just seeing present perfect. You're connecting that structure to the real-life feeling of just now completing something. It's about connecting grammar to authentic expression, building a relationship with the living language.
Building a living relationship. I like that. So practically speaking, what are maybe, say, 5 small, powerful steps we could take every day to encourage this natural acquisition?
Okay, 5 steps. First, listen every single day, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes. Find clear, understandable English podcasts for learners, YouTube, simple stories. Don't stress about understanding every word. Just let your brain soak it in. It's collecting data, finding patterns.
Okay, daily listening. Step 2.
Second, notice what you hear. Shift from passive listening to active noticing. Pay attention to phrases that repeat or how people use a specific structure you're curious about, maybe how they ask questions or talk about possibilities.
Right. Be a language detective again. Step 3.
Third, repeat short sentences aloud. Hear a useful phrase. Say it. To yourself is fine. Get your mouth and ears involved. Internalize the sound and rhythm. Make the patterns physically familiar.
Makes sense. Physical practice.
Fourth, connect grammar to your real life. This is vital. Don't just learn rules abstractly. Use the grammar to talk about your day, your thoughts, your feelings. Make it personal. That makes it stick.
Personal relevance.
Oh, okay.
And the 5th step.
Fifth, and maybe the most important, don't worry about mistakes. Seriously, natural learning requires mistakes. They're not signs of failure. They're signs you're experimenting, trying things out, learning. Embrace them as just part of the journey. Your brain is figuring things out.
Listen, notice, repeat, connect, don't worry. That sounds achievable and much less intimidating. But let's circle back to that confidence issue, because even if you're doing all this great, slow, natural learning, that moment of actually speaking can still be terrifying. You know the grammar. Maybe you've practiced it, but just hesitation, nerves, that little voice saying, is this right? What if I mess up? And maybe you just clam up.
Oh, that internal critic is loud, isn't it? It's a huge barrier for so many people. Very understandable. But here's the counterintuitive thing about confidence. It doesn't magically show up when you're perfect. Because, let's face it, who is ever perfect? Confidence doesn't come from perfection. It actually comes from accepting imperfection. It comes from trying, from showing up, from speaking anyway.
Accepting imperfection.
Right.
Okay, so confidence isn't the result of perfect grammar. It's more like a prerequisite for using the grammar you have.
In a way, yes. You build confidence by doing, not by waiting until you feel perfectly ready. So how do we build it? Our sources suggest 5 simple, practical ideas.
Let's hear them first.
First, speak anyway. Just do it. Don't wait for that mythical 100% readiness. It might never arrive. Use the English you have right now, even if it's simple. The very act of speaking, even imperfectly, builds the confidence muscle.
Okay, jump in the pool. Don't just dip your toes. Second idea.
Second, celebrate your small wins. Actively acknowledge your progress. Did you use a past tense correctly without overthinking? Did you ask a question clearly? Notice it. Appreciate it. Those small victories build momentum and self-belief.
Recognize the progress. I like that. Third,
make mistakes proudly. Yeah, I said proudly. See them differently. They're not failures to be ashamed of. They are proof you're putting in the effort, you're learning, you're stretching yourself. They're data points showing you where to focus next.
reframe mistakes as evidence of effort. Okay. Fourth,
focus on communication, not perfection. Remember why you're learning English. To connect with people, right? To share ideas, to understand others. Grammar helps, it's the structure. But if people understand your message, even if the grammar isn't flawless, you are succeeding. Connection is the ultimate goal.
communication over perfection. That takes a lot of pressure off. And the final confidence booster.
Fifth, and this loops back nicely, use grammar that feels natural and comfortable for you. Don't feel pressured to use super complex sentences just to sound advanced. Build fluency and real confidence with the grammar you genuinely understand and can use relatively easily. As you get more comfortable, the more complex stuff will start to feel natural too. Start solid, then build up. Authenticity bleeds confidence.
Speak anyway. Celebrate wins. Make mistakes proudly. Focus on connection. Use what feels comfortable. That sounds like a recipe for actually enjoying the process. So, wrapping up our deep dive today, the big picture seems clear. If you embrace this slower, more natural way of learning, focusing on patterns and connection, and if you shift your goal from impossible perfection to effective communication, you really can move past that grammar anxiety and build solid speaking confidence.
Absolutely. It transforms grammar from this scary monster under the bed into just part of the language. It becomes less about memorizing abstract rules and much more about this journey of connection, of feeling the rhythm of the language. It's not a race. It really is about living with the language, letting it become part of you intuitively, naturally, like your first language.
Okay, so for your provocative thought this week, I want you to try an experiment. Pick just one small grammar point you want to get better at. But instead of hitting the books in the usual way, try to live with it for the next few days. Really notice it when you listen or read. Actively practice it by saying short sentences out loud, making them about you. Repeat it slowly, naturally, and just consider, how might shifting your mindset from student cramming for a test to real speaker noticing and feeling the language change your entire experience? How could that make grammar feel less like an enemy and more like an ally in your communication journey?